Hello all, thought I'd start today's video with this interesting tree here with lots of different engravings on there and dates. Don't know what it's all about, but quite interesting. Here I am in Edinburgh. I'm on the Dalmeny estate. Some gorgeous open space and a little bit of woodland as well. Some rolling fields, rolling hills. It's quite a cool day, but it's dry. And yeah, it's nice to have a change in scene. Spending a few days up in Edinburgh, the beautiful city of Edinburgh and its surrounding countryside. So, today's video, what should we talk about? Well, I was listening to David Icke the other night when I was in work, driving around listening to a David Icke podcast, and you think of David Icke and how many people still right now would just dismiss him as a conspiracy theorist, and more to the point, why? Well, I was one of those people, probably until a couple of years ago. But why? Why did I dismiss him as a conspiracy theorist? Because I'd been told he was a conspiracy theorist. I'd been told he wasn't worth paying attention to. I'd been told he was a basket case and nut job. So I didn't bother to find out for myself. Anyway, I was listening to David Icke, and he was talking about the awake movement that is starting to progress at the moment, as millions and millions of people across the world start seeing life through a different lens, through a wider lens. Why is it whenever you start filming, there's always like a lawnmower, or in this case, a plane overhead? Anyway, and he was talking about how he has so many people contacting him now and saying to him, why can't they see it? Why can't the sheep see it? Why can't the zombies? Why won't they wake up? Why can't they see what's in front of their very eyes? And he kind of like commented that he totally understood the frustration associated with that. But back in the early 90s, when David Icke first, well, he became a figure of fun, didn't he? When he first started trying to alert the world to what was really going on, and about how isolated he was, how alone he felt, and the level of ridicule that he had to put up with from the public, who just weren't ready to listen to what he had to say. And he said, so if you're feeling alone now, it's probably nothing compared to what I felt back in those early days. And that chimed with me, because I think sometimes we need to remember that, well, why did we wake up when we woke up? Why? What was it that did it for us? What was it that did it for me? And why is the next person not yet ready? So it was a useful reminder for me that it might sound like a little bit of a cliche. People are ready to absorb and tolerate and embrace the truth that they need to when they're ready to. And who's to say what the trigger for that is? Who's to say when the moment comes that the awakening process can begin? Now, I think, speaking from my own personal point of view, I think I've always been aware on some level. I've talked about this before, but I think I've always felt the world and society at large has not tallied with what I've been told it is. I think I've always had some awareness of something deeper. more intricate and more complex. And but so I had so much to explore, and I still do. Who's to say I'm awake right now? How do I know that? I'm trying to pay attention, yes. I'm trying to be open-minded, yes. I'm trying to accept that there's a grain of truth, or there may be a grain of truth in everything. But who's to say that somebody else may look at me and their perception may be he's not awake? And who's to say that they're more awake than I am? But David Icke talks about perception, and he says we don't need to end this problem that we have right now. It doesn't end in any other way other than people allowing themselves to perceive things in a different way. And for me, that is what the awakening process is: an expansion of consciousness, being able to see the wood for the trees. There's a lot of trees around here. Being able to see the trees and the forest. Being able to appreciate that there's not just one story, that there are complex layers to every story, that nobody has the truth. Truth is personal to everybody, but what is it? It's about allowing ourselves to perceive the world how we want to, with limited interference and influence from external sources that may be trying to negatively influence how we see the world. And it is then about articulating honestly what we see and what we think. And I think that's what it's about. And that is a painful process, because what we see when we awake is emotionally upsetting at first, when we realise that there is evil in the world, and when we realise that we as individuals must be the light that's fighting against the darkness. Not fighting against the darkness we shouldn't need to fight, that shows the way, that leads the way. It is about perception. And it's important to remember and to question and to reflect all the time on what we're seeing. We can change the way we look at things, and the things we look at can change. We've been so conditioned, all of us, and we continue to be. But it's being aware of that and having the courage to see the world through our own eyes, truly. And then to speak our truth. And it was a useful reminder for me that some people still aren't ready to, as frustrating as it is. Because as David Icke said himself, back in the early days, there were only a handful of people who were ready to take that step. Now there are millions of people, but there are millions more who still aren't quite ready. So, important to stay grounded, to stay humble, to remember that as we try and show the way, as we try and show people what's in front of their very eyes, other people were once trying to show us, but we weren't ready to listen. So let's just keep on doing what we're doing. Remember that we're not alone. Remember how painful it is for us, and it has been for us, as we embrace our own personal truth and the emotional turmoil that entails. And just remember, it's a massive undertaking for people. So that was what I took away from the podcast with David Icke, and I thought I'd share that with you today in this beautiful location on this beautiful day. And now I am going to enjoy the rest of my walk with my brother and my friend who are right in front of me, looking at me, waiting for me. A couple of other libertarian souls who can see right through everything. Anyway, I'm going to leave you to it now, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my walk. Remember to subscribe to The Imperfect Individual, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.